Happy Monday and happy Labor Day and happy September. Oh, we've been waiting for September to come because September symbolizes and signals the end of the hot summer and the beginning of the cooler autumnal weather. It also symbolically tells us that every season has its appointed symbolism. The wintertime is for the hidden preparation underground, the hibernation. The spring is the time for the breaking up the ground and the planting the seeds. The summer symbolizes the time of the most exponential growth that we have. And then the fall, upcoming season, is when we harvest and we reap that which we have sown. But I guess I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Back to the 10 Commandments of Leadership. I'm your host, Tim Allston. I'm a leadership strategist. I'm a 4-time Amazon bestselling author. I am the world's first publicly acknowledged egoholic. And I've got a message for you today as it relates to Labor Day. And some of you may be home, some of you may be working, but I'm glad that you're here with us. For example, let's look at things. It's Labor Day today. And unusual because the first day of the month happens to be Labor Day, September 1. It's always the first Monday, but this first Monday happens to be the first day of the month. So it's a special Labor Day. It is a holiday where many rest from work, celebrate the dignity of labor, and reflect on the contributions of working people. But I want to offer something a little bit deeper, take a little bit of a deeper take onto this. Labor Day is not just about labor unions, barbecues, or a day off. It is about honoring the unseen, often under-celebrated, underappreciated work of the preparation that shapes us into our leadership positions. And to ground our time together, let's begin with the text from Romans 8:28. We know that all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Not some things, not most things, but all things. There is the promise, first of all things. John chapter 13, verse 7 says, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." Once again, you do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand. The former evangelist George Mueller gave us a reminder. In 1,000 trials, not 500, not 999, but in 999 plus one, work for the believer's good. Just as Labor Day honors the fruit of many labors, God weaves the labor of our trials, our waiting, our setbacks into something that is purposeful. Take the example of the piece of tapestry. If you turn it around to the backside, it looks messy with all these threads going every which way. But when you look at it from the front, it is a masterpiece. So we need to appreciate what goes on underneath to appreciate what is enjoyed on the front end. It reminds me of the story of Jacob and Jacob's labor and Jacob's labored journey as we think about Labor Day. Joseph went from being the pampered son to the pit, to Potiphar's house, to the prison, to the palace, to the prime ministry. 7 times in the book of Genesis, it says, and the Lord was with Joseph. And the Lord was with Joseph. The key leadership insight here is that his era wasn't in dreaming. It was in dreaming out loud before an unreceptive audience. Once again, the problem wasn't in the dreaming. The problem was that he dreamt out loud. So what is our Labor Day tie-in? Joseph labored in obscurity, managing household, managing prisons, even managing Pharaoh's storehouse before his labor bore fruit for an entire nation. And isn't it ironic that the wealth that Joseph built later served to enslave his people? for 400 years, 20 generations. Yet God redeemed it, turning the Egyptian gold into Israel's reparation at the Exodus. It's proof that no labor is wasted in God's economy. Then there's the example of Nelson Mandela. Tony Robbins tells a story that I love. When he asked Nelson Mandela, how did he survive 26 years in prison? Mr. Mandela replied, what pain? What agony? I was preparing to become the president of my country, and I knew it would take 26 years. The leadership lens here says that prison wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The Labor Day tie-in is this: sometimes the hardest work is the unseen labor, the labor of patience, the labor of resilience, and the labor of character formation. And then there's a lesson here for what I call real people, REEL people. Real people is my acronym for recovering egoholics as emerging leaders. Recovering egoholics as emerging leaders. Real, REEL people. And we learn a lot of lessons from Joseph, from Nelson Mandela, and even from the disciple Peter. Number one, stay the course. Number two, keep your own counsel when necessary. Number three, keep your eye on the prize. As we know the Bible story, Peter sank when he looked at the winds and the waves instead of keeping his eye focused on Jesus Christ. Number four, prepare for your summons. Like Joseph shaving himself before went to see Pharaoh, leaders must clean up, prepare, and step forward ready. What's the Labor Day tie-in again? This holiday is about recognizing work. But for leaders, the work is not just outward labor, but inner labor. Clearing clutter, learning new skills, exercising, decluttering our egos. On a personal note, let me share with you, as I get ready for my upcoming keynote speaking engagement on October 24th, I too am laboring, not with bricks and straws, but laboring with habits, some bad habits. So in this past weekend, I'm clearing out my inbox. I'm cleaning up my workspace, my studio, as I call it, part business and research office study, and the other part podcasting studio. I'm learning some new technologies, and I'm recommitting to getting my health back in line. Because the labor of today builds the leaders of tomorrow. The labor of today builds the leaders of tomorrow. And now there's the practical application. I encourage you as listeners to do several things. Just to repeat what I've said, declutter one thing this week. Could be emails, could be workspace, it could be mental baggage. Declutter one thing this week. Number two, learn one new skill each day, no matter how small, Also this week, number three, exercise faith and body. Steward what God has already put in your hands. It's Exodus 4:2. What is that in your hands? And here's a Labor Day reflection for you. Celebrate not just what you do, but what you are becoming through the labor of preparation. Again, celebrate not just what you do, but who you are becoming through the labor of preparation. In closing, I remind you of what he said earlier in Romans 8:28. All things work together for good. Friends, Joseph's pit was preparation for the palace. Mandela's prison was preparation for the presidency. Peter's faltering walk taught him to keep his eye on Jesus. So as this Labor Day reminds us of the value of work, let us remember that our unseen labor, our trials, our disciplines, our habits, our daily faithfulness, are also holy work. Your pit may just be preparation for your palace. God hasn't taken his hand off you. Why? Because he never, ever will. I hope that I've been able to give you some level of inspiration, encouragement, information, and some role models as we conclude our celebration of Labor Day and this Labor Day weekend. Stay the course. Stay prepared. Stay ready. The preparation that you feel is a punishment is really the preparation for your leadership, which you are becoming every single day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And join us tomorrow for another episode of the 10 Commandments of Leadership.